Hey everyone, this is Jen for Take the Mickey. Today we are going to be exploring what it's like to stay at Disney's Beach Club Villas and Resorts. Disney's Beach Club Villas are probably one of the more popular resorts on all of Disney World property. And not only is this one of the more popular resorts, but it is also one of the most expensive. And let me tell you, it is very expensive. Of course, we know everything in Disney is expensive, but the resorts that are known as the deluxe resorts are definitely the most expensive of the bunch. And you might be wondering if shelling out all of this extra money is worth it for you and your family when there are other options that cost a lot less when you're trying to make these decisions about your vacation here. So I'm hoping after you watch this video, you're going to have a better idea of what it is like to stay at Disney's Beach Club Resort, and if you think it's going to be worth it for you and your family to spend this extra money on your next vacation. So there are a lot of reasons why Disney's Beach Club happens to be one of the more popular resorts, but that doesn't mean everyone likes staying here. I'm going to go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to know if this is the place for you to stay or not. One thing that all Disney resorts are known for is their theming. Some of it is huge and over the top, and some resorts happen to be a little more subtle or understated. Now, I would say the value resorts at Walt Disney World tend to be very overly themed. They have big and bold and bright colors, and this is the case with just about everything about them. Their color palettes are big and bold, and they all have larger-than-life statues and decorations everywhere. So the value resorts are definitely not lacking in any theming at all. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, you have Disney's deluxe resorts, which tend to be more understated, both in the vibes and the theming. Now, Disney's Beach Club certainly does fall into this latter category, and I do think the theming here is pretty subtle. All of the colors and architecture are supposed to remind us of a quaint seaside village at the turn of the century. Everywhere you look, you're going to see pastel pinks and greens and blues, which are supposed to remind us of quaint seaside villages. You're going to find a lot of antiques in the resort, also meant to evoke this turn-of-the-century Pod or Cape May feeling. And you know, as a person who resides in New England, I think Disney absolutely succeeded in what they were attempting to do here. I think the theming is absolutely spot on for what they set out to do and really does make you feel like you are in one of these oceanside towns. Thing at this resort is very light and bright and breezy and really accomplishes the feeling of a seaside village. Absolutely gets you into vacation mode right off the bat. Now, while the lobby may not be nearly as big or impressive as other Disney deluxe resorts, think over at Fort Wilderness or Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. Both of those lobbies are huge and massive and quite impressive in scale. In contrast, the lobby at the Beach Club is much smaller and does not have nearly the wow factor as you can find at other Disney deluxe resorts. But it's pretty and it's clean, it smells really good, and at the end of the day, I don't think you need much more than that in a lobby. And in addition to the lobby space, there are a number of other little areas in the resort that are great for sitting around and relaxing. Several of them are going to have TVs, typically playing the Mickey and Minnie cartoons that are so popular right now. Now, in the main building, there is an atrium that is full of these really great windows that let in an amazing amount of light. And this is a great spot to sit and eat your breakfast or lunch, and it's very close to the quick service location here as well. In the Disney Vacation Club or DVC building, there's another really great space which connects the entrance into the pool area. And I really love the theming in this room. The ceilings are massive, and there's all sorts of cute knickknacks all over the shelving that reminds you of the seaside. And there's a very large painting on the adjacent wall with Mickey and Minnie and everybody else, and they are all absolutely living their best beach lives. Of course, I don't love everything about the theming here at this resort. In particular, I really dislike the plethora of bathing suits, bathing outfits, bathing attire that are framed and prominently displayed all over the resort. Like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And I don't think it helps at all that these appear to be children's bathing suits that are framed. I don't know if it's me or if other people feel this way, but I think they are so creepy, and I really wish that Disney would take these down and figure out something else to do to adorn the walls. I'm not sure why I hate these so much, but I absolutely do. Let me know what you think of these in the comments if you've seen them. Now, most of the rooms at the beach club have recently undergone a refurbishment, so a lot of the upholstery is new, the curtains are fresh and have been updated, and there's some newer artwork rooms as well. They should all now have the pull-down Murphy beds as opposed to the pull-out sofas, which is a huge improvement. Now, just like with the rest of the resort, the rooms here are not going to be nearly as themed as a lot of the others that you will probably stay in at other resorts in the value or even the moderate categories. But personally, I appreciate that. I'm not the kind of person that likes a lot of stimulation, and neither do my kiddos really. So I like the fact that after I spend a full day in the park, where I have been inundated with a large amount of IP and stimulation, that I can come back to my room here, and I know it's going to be peaceful and calm, and I'm going to be able to relax. Another huge draw for families and staying here at the beach club is the pool, Stormalong Bay. So it's practically a mini water park in and of itself. And while it's certainly not as big or grand as Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach, it is absolutely the largest pool of any resort on Disney property. It's actually a full 3 acres and includes the largest water slide on property, as well as a lazy river. And while this is a pretty amazing reason to stay here, there are definitely some problems with this pool. The first one I have is that the entrance to the slide is not actually located inside the gated part of the pool. If you or your kiddo are going to access this slide, you have to actually cross a very large walkway and enter into a separate gated portion. So if you have small children with you, they can't really do this slide on their own at all because they are going to be completely out of any type of eyesight or sight line. And not only that, but they actually have to leave the pool area. And to me, that is concerning if you have tiny people, and it is not very relaxing. You know, when I am on vacation, I want to relax in the lounge chair and be able to watch my children play safely. And at this pool, you really cannot do that. If they're going to do the slide and they cannot cross the walkway on their own, you're going to have to do this about 5 million times with them. And so the other problem with this pool is the depth of the lazy river itself. There are portions of this lazy river that are actually up to a depth of 8 feet. So for myself, I am a 4 foot tall, 11-inch woman. So by no means can I stand up in the majority of this lazy river. So clearly little kids that are not strong swimmers may have an issue with this as well. Now, to be fair, Disney has a large amount of lifeguards dedicated to this portion of the pool, and they are constantly scanning the lazy river and doing a great job. But if you ask me, this is definitely a huge design flaw, and I'm really hoping that they address it in the upcoming refurbishment in early 2025. Now, to be fair, Disney didn't intentionally design a lazy river to a depth of 8 feet. Believe it or not, when the beach club first opened, this was actually a type of snorkeling experience with real fish, so the water needed to be quite deep to accommodate them. But clearly that didn't work out, probably for multiple obvious reasons, and so now we have a lazy river, which I love, but I would love this to be dressed in the refurbishment. Now there's also a quiet pool at this resort. It's located at the back of the DVC building, but of course anybody staying on beach club property can access this pool. Most resorts do have quiet pools, so if you're not wanting to be in all the kind of hustle and bustle of the themed pool, this is a great alternative. It's a good size. There's also a hot tub down here as well. And this is actually one of my favorite quiet pools on any of the Disney resorts. So of course, there are some things about this resort that I don't love, particularly the food situation here at the beach club. And unfortunately, this is the case for all of the Crescent Lake resorts. So this includes beach club, yacht club, and even Disney's Boardwalk. Not one of these deluxe resorts has a decent quick service option. I actually am incredibly frustrated with Disney about this, and if they are listening, I sincerely hope they address it eventually. The quick service options at the beach club and yacht club are really only located in the merchandise location, and it's essentially just grab and go food like pre-made sandwiches and salads. They do serve a very limited hot breakfast, which includes Mickey waffles, sausage, bacon, scrambled eggs. And most days they do offer a hot lunch that includes some flatbreads, soup, or warm sandwich. But again, the menu is very limited and extremely underwhelming. The yacht club has the exact same setup, and you can't even walk over to the boardwalk for a good quick service option because their only option is the bakery. And while I was initially very excited about this when it was going to open, it has definitely not been my favorite. The flavors are bland, and there's just really a lack of creativity overall to the Boardwalk Bakery. Now, of course, you can always walk over to Epcot and to the World Showcase for some snacks, especially when one of the festivals is going on. And to be honest, that's most of the year. However, that's not super convenient or even realistic for a lot of families who are staying here. Of course, just mentioning that you can pop over to Epcot for a quick snack leads me to, I think, the biggest advantage and perk of staying at Beach Club or really any of the Crescent Lake resorts is its proximity to the parks. And while the monorail resorts certainly have a leg up when it comes to Magic Kingdom, staying at Beach Club puts you within walking distance not only of Epcot but also Hollywood Studios. So depending upon where your room is on the resort, you should be no more than a 10-minute walk to the back entrance of Epcot, which in my opinion is the best way to enter Epcot. This puts you right in between the England and France pavilions in the World Showcase and gives you a fantastic opportunity to get in an early rope drop and get in line for Remy's Ratatouille Adventure Frozen Ever After. This 100% saves you a lot of walking and time from the front of the park if those are rides you're trying to prioritize on your rope drop day. It's also pretty fantastic when you've just spent an entire day at Epcot walking around the World Showcase multiple times, eating a lot of snacks. You can zip out the back entrance of Epcot, and then within 10 minutes, you can be back in your room instead of having to fight with any type of Disney transportation. So in addition to being walking distance to Epcot, you can also walk to Hollywood Studios, although that's going to be more like a 30-minute walk depending upon where your room is. However, you can also take a friendship boat to either of these locations if you want to. Friendship boats have been around Disney for as long as I can remember, but I've never been able to determine what exactly makes them particularly friendly. And while it does put me in a good mood to ride one, I'm not sure it makes me any more friendly than I normally am. If you find riding a friendship boat makes you uniquely friendly while voyaging, leave me a message in the comments. So not only are you in excellent proximity to both of these parks, but you also have great access to the Skyliner. If you were not aware, at the back entrance of Epcot, there is also a Skyliner hub, which gives you access to multiple other Disney resorts, including the Riviera. So when I'm staying at the beach club, one of my favorite things to do is to actually book a character breakfast over at Topolino's at the Riviera. That character breakfast is absolutely my favorite character breakfast on all of Disney property. And not only is it super cute to see Mickey and Minnie and everyone else in their little artist outfits, but the breakfast there is actually quite good, very high quality. So not only are you paying big bucks for the character meal, but you're actually paying for excellent food, which is often not the case with a character meal. Staying here also puts you right next to the Swan and Dolphin hotels, which are not actually owned by Disney. They're actually owned by Marriott, but there is some great dining opportunities to be had there as well. I particularly recommend Rosa Mexicana, which again is not owned by Disney. This is actually a chain restaurant based in New England with multiple locations in New York and one in Boston. It's themed to Frida Kahlo, which happens to be one of my favorite artists. This is absolutely one of the best meals I've had on property in a very long time. I highly recommend the jalapeno margarita. Best margarita I have ever had, hands down. Also, I just like coming over to the Swan and Dolphin because the aesthetic totally gives off 80s vibes. And being a child of the 80s, it just gives me all the feels. I remember seeing these hotels when I was a little girl, and I thought this was just the fanciest, coolest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And you know, every time I walk into the lobby, I am expecting to see Don Johnson strolling across in a pink suit. And for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, you are not as old as I am. And I have not seen him in his pink suit as of yet, but I'm still waiting, although I do think The Rock got the memo. Other dining options that are nearby and within walking distance include the Ale and Compass and the Ale and Compass Lounge, which are located over at the Yacht Club Resort. Now, the yacht and the beach clubs are actually connected to each other and are sister resorts, so to speak. They share a lot of the same amenities, including the pool, Stormalong Bay, which I mentioned earlier. And while the Ale and Compass has been a little hit or miss for us recently, I do have to say we have had some really good brunches here, and the price point is excellent for a Disney restaurant with an entire entree and access to the brunch buffet coming in at $25. And although the restaurant is hit or miss, I would highly recommend the Ale and Compass Lounge, which is connected to the restaurant. They make one of the best old fashions that I've ever had, not just on property, but like ever. It's a maple old fashioned, so for all of you bourbon lovers out there, you should definitely check this out. It's very bourbon forward with that sweet and smoky undertone. Absolutely delicious. And then, of course, there are a ton of other sit-down restaurants located on the Crescent Lake, including Trattoria Al Forno, which is an Italian restaurant, as well as the Flying Fish, which specializes in fish. What do you know? All of these are great options if you want to make an advanced dining reservation or have a sit-down meal. But as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, the quick service options are severely lacking at any of these resorts. I do have to mention that the Beach Club also has its own character breakfast on property, Cape May Cafe. And while I did recommend going over to Topolino's for a character breakfast on the Skyliner over at the Riviera, and I'm sticking to that advice, you also have an option right here on property to have a very cute breakfast with Mickey, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy. The food is not nearly as impressive as Topolino's Terrace is. It's fine. I would not call it bad, but it's also not good. However, I do think this is an absolutely fantastic character interaction experience. All of the characters are dressed in their beach best and are ready to go to the beach party. This is a very cute character breakfast, and your little ones would absolutely love it. Probably the most popular place to eat on Beach Club property is Beaches and Cream. Now, this is a super cute ice cream shop that is themed to, a 1950s soda shoppy Dewey's. You get it. And while they do serve diner food here, options like burgers, hot dogs, grilled cheese, chicken tenders. What they are known for here is their desserts. Probably the most iconic and certainly the largest is the kitchen sink, which comes with a scoop of every flavor of their ice cream, every single topping they have, and a whole can of whipped cream. Okay, so this dessert is absolutely massive, and it says it serves 4, but I think you could probably serve 44. It's so big. Absolutely a memorable experience if you decide to delve into one of these. And of course, there are a number of other excellent sundaes, milkshakes, ice cream desserts that are much more manageable to eat, but just as delicious. Overall, the food here is just okay. But again, you're not really coming here for the food. You're coming here for the atmosphere and the ice cream. The theming is absolutely adorable, and there are just super cute paintings all over of Disney characters. I particularly love this one of Mickey and Minnie sharing a milkshake together. Super cute. I think Beaches and Cream is a must-do if this is your first time staying at Beach Club. I think you can skip it if you've been here before and you're not particularly in the mood for a massive amount of ice cream. I do want to mention that they do have a walk-up window which serves just some of their ice cream treats, no food. But this can be very helpful if you're just wanting a quick, sweet treat because it's actually very difficult to get a sit-down reservation here. So the walk-up window gives you some access to some sugar when you need it. And I think if you have lost your child as they've wandered away to try to find the entrance to the Stormalong Bay slide, I definitely think having an ice cream cone in hand while you're searching is a good thing. And there are certainly some other places to eat or get a drink around the Beach Club. They do have their own lounge, Martha's Vineyard. However, as I've mentioned earlier, I think all of those options are pretty mediocre. So while there are probably some other worthwhile things to mention about staying at the Beach Club, I think we've tackled some of the most important highlights about staying here and also some of the disadvantages of staying at this resort. Now, I do really like staying here at the Beach Club, and I do stay here often, but I don't think it's for everybody. I personally really enjoy the muted theming that's here at this resort. I don't want to have a huge amount of color and stimulation surrounding me when I'm at a resort because I'm usually trying to relax. But if you are here on a one-time vacation with little kiddos, they might want that larger than life theming that staying at some of the value or moderate resorts will offer. And while my family doesn't mind walking over to Epcot on a whim to get a snack, if you don't have an annual pass or a day ticket that's going to allow you to do that, that is not going to be a viable option for you and your family. Now, if you do want a pretty laid-back atmosphere and you don't mind the higher price point, this might be the resort for you, especially since you have access to the largest pool on property. If you are going to be at your resort enough time to actually spend a significant amount of time at the pool or the resort, it might absolutely be worth it to you. And of course, for me, the biggest advantage in staying here is the amazing proximity to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Those are the two parks that my family and I will usually spend the most time in on vacation. So being within walking distance to both of these parks is a huge perk and advantage for us. And I do want everybody to know that when I stay here at the Beach Club, I am never paying the cash prices that Disney is advertising or the rack rate. I'm always using my points that I have as a DVC or Disney Vacation Club member. However, there are ways that you can access these types of points for your own vacation and save a ton of money than paying the rack rates that Disney is advertising. There are several third parties that are available on the internet. You can definitely do some research and find some recommended ones on Facebook groups or, just by doing a Google search. But they make it possible to rent points from other DVC members that aren't using them. And this is a great way to save a lot of money on your next vacation at any of the resorts on Disney property. I hope this video was informative. I hope you have a good idea now of if you think that staying at the beach club is a good idea for you and your family or not. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you found this video to be helpful at all, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and even subscribe to this burgeoning little endeavor, because it will definitely help me with making new videos in the future. Thanks everybody. This is Jen for Take the Mickey.